There we go, right? With us already having put our passwords in. So, thank you for your patience during our pause. We are picking up this series now with Yesod. Please do, as always, avail yourself of the changes to the spreadsheet that include everything from tarot card correspondences, if you want to use them in your casting and workings, or at least be aware of the energies that are related to the meditational work, the path working work that we're doing tonight. The color correspondences, the astral anatomy, 27 color rays are those erotic centers throughout your body that can be stimulated by breath work, physical work, spiritual work, etc. Your personal philosophic base or worldview. If you don't understand what your worldview is, please do look up the word worldview and begin applying it to your own thinking. Personal complexes. Now, this is a little more trickier ground to get to, but I always think of a complex is a thing that troubles us, right? So this is a driving motivational force in our behavior in the world, much like our own original scarring creates hyper defensive mechanisms in our personality, which get triggered, which then over-respond and overreact to any number of situations or ignore important ones that we should be aware of, right? These complexes are those situations where after a certain degree, a certain length of time of self-observation, you realize you're the problem in this equation. And you're a problem in the equation over and over and over and over again in your life. You're making the same neurotic choice, expecting there to be a difference sometime. And there is not. It's a neurotic choice. So worldview and complexes often intertwine. And worldview itself is a malleable thing that can be changed from minute to minute. And it's very mercurial. It's very shifty. It's very moving. It's very liquid. It's you can read a new book and change your worldview. However, the longer you practice or remind yourself of your worldview, the deeper your complexes get, which are routinized stories about yourself, that some of which serve you, some of which don't. It serves us to wear pants in public. That is a complex that almost all cultures have. Very few of them have relaxed those limits. You can be nude in Great Britain without bothering, as long as you are not molesting or bothering anyone. They have nude parades, nude bicycle races, nude runs, nude everything. Awesome. Yay, they're letting go of that worldview that nude equals lewd and changing a personal complex in a group, which is not easy to do. Shifting a worldview for a group, right? The group will only evolve as fast as its most resistant member. Anyways, I'm starting to get into way more than I wanted to, as far as like how to unknot your own personal psychology. So this is what you would see a psychologist for personal complex, right? And you would change your worldview by really paying attention to your world and shifting your stories or narratives about what the situation is. Awesome. Self-creation and expression, obviously, direct outgrowths of the clashings and intertwinings of both our own personal complexes and our worldview and the reality that's actually happening, right? How people are responding to us, whether we're impinging on legal issues or not, et cetera, right? Whether our art is actually challenging, whether our thinking is actually progressive or conservative, right? The clashing of this really is the more you tune out the noise, drop out the noise, right? The more you tune into the current, what's going on, right? And the more you like begin empowering yourself with your own narrative, the more you're going to start bumping into these structures, control structures, like the way our culture uses fear to politically manipulate us into cloud state. Yes, that's right. And but is that true? Is that false? Is that just a conservative narrative? Is that just an agenda of a right or left leaning fanatic? One of the most important aspects of my education, my formal education was in literature. But one of the most important aspects of that was critical thinking as a class. And I love that critical thinking is still taught in academia somewhere. And frankly, I think it should be taught in high school or earlier. We should be exercising critical thinking and teaching each other critical thinking. We should have means of challenging every possible narrative and expression and interpretation, and be given tools and tool sets to do that, like logic, understanding grammar and syntax, understanding the different aspects of dialogue and persuasion, what's now called manipulation, or called propaganda, or called, right? Anyway, all those tools should be taught. So that's what these represent: 7 color rays, erotic zones, worldview, the lens you're kind of looking at the world through, and events, which themselves do not necessarily mirror your image of it. Personal complexes, the ways you habitually put a lens in front of your eyes. Awesome. Self-creation and expression, those things that happen when you butt up against something not self and begin evolving your own story. And that can happen through either outward directed manifestation, creative expression, right? Or through a deeper wisdom of self-creation. Awesome. Those are the roads that Yesod connects with, and it connects in these particular colors, which you can use in your meditations, as well as these images that I provided you. Some of the meditations that, just so you get to see, and this is, I'm only going to read one, but just so that you get to see what it is that I'm providing you, if I can get this to go down. Awesome. So the connection between Tiferet and the core of the Sephirotic tree of life, the identity, when we were there ourselves, we saw the flash of recognition of consciousness, awareness, and truth, power, beauty, right? It's the fulminant moment where it connects with the node that we're going to, right? Which is all human imaginings. And we'll begin talking about Yesod in a few minutes. But the node that it connects to, the fulminant deep awareness of the universe for itself and all conscious things for each other, and identity, bigger I than just I, the stories I tell myself, which, right, we were just talking about that, right? Stories we tell ourselves, right? Our personal complexities. Where they meet this hugely expansive power that also, I love what the Oracle said to Neo in the Matrix trilogy. If you're the one, you just know it, balls to balls, right? And what she was trying to say is it's like love, right? You just become one with it. It's funny, some of the greatest thinkers right now are practical thinkers, and many of them are talking about this concept of human flow, and that perfect state of beingness where because you enjoy the activity so much that you're doing, it both lengthens and compresses time objectively and increases interest in productivity. Corporations would love to bottle this shit. Well, that's exactly what the road intersects. And the meditation for that, which is detached, passive, cooperative, realized and actualized, philanthropic and accomplished, living in her, H-I-R, spelled H-I-R, as not him nor her, a them. That's all it is. It's a helpful non-pronoun pronoun, right? In her ideal state of being, in control of herself, her own hidden soul, shadow of goddess, soul, or daemon, her guides, as well as forces of nature and the magic at her control, right? Her goddess soul, her God soul, right? Her, that part of her which is sound and perfect, Kether, where we've been, right? May take visible form for her. Her own God soul may take visible form for her. Think about that for just 1 second. What would happen if your own connection to the divine manifested for you physically? Oh, it would look like an angel. It would look like this angel in particular. Okay. As a visible form for her. Her sense of self expands into the upper astral, and that's what this is. This is the bridge, or the beginning of the formation of the bridge, where bodhisattvas and ascended masters and former human guides who never actually physically died go. This place. And upper astral, at once freed of their bodies, right? Which radically changes the actual structure for formation of the agenda or agency or agonism of that entity, by the way. The one on the upper astral is not what lived. So, his sense expands into the upper astral, psychic awareness completely unfolds. This is where the CDs, as described by the yogis of the folks that wrote the Upanishads. So we're talking 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, codified, because they simply had observed long enough in their own system and devout practice by lots of people that these particular psychic abilities begin happening, and they do. And they happen in a very predictable way, and all of them are very well defined. And the definitions of those, all you have to do is look up the Vedic deities, SIDIS, and you'll find them. Anyways, or at least a description of it, right? So these psychic awarenesses begin unfolding in the witch, right? The epiphany can lead to a fear of madness. So attenuation of personal awareness into larger inclusive awareness will always lead to a pushback, because all things seek to protect themselves from transformation or death. All things resist death. So that overreaction to should I unfold into, oh, I don't know, absolute love and awareness? Ask yourself, yes, but right now? And that fear, but right now, is the pushback that this is trying to point towards, right? Manifest as a fear of madness. If the witch experiences this, there's the possibility of breaking her connection with God's soul. This is a hard pushback, right? And this often happens with people who get close to like it really opening up and really just sort of touching their own personal absolute, right? That they full break from everything. No more witchcraft, no more witchcraft tech, no more none of this mystical bullshit. All of that's the devil. Blah 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 blah. Or all of that is bullshit atheism. Or all of that is not what I'm doing right now. So This is after years and years and years of work. Or it can happen in a blink of an eye. That's the whole hope, right? Is that we bypass all this fucking work and just get there, be enlightened. Wouldn't it be nice? If I could find the quick road, kids, I'd give it to you. But I am a story of the what is it called? School of Hard Knocks. I had to learn all this shit the hard way. Anyways, the witch experience, if the witch experiences this possibility of breaking the connection with the god soul, rejecting its directives, and a permanent dislocation of her higher spiritual reality, which is asked to become invisible, one with the flow of her destiny, completely identifying herself with her connection with the divine. Yes. So this meditational point is a help and guidepost, as all of the meditations have been through all the sheets. And I would encourage you, if you weren't aware of them or if you didn't try them, please do go back and avail yourself of meditations that have been added to the work. It will only help deepen your own understanding. If you have questions about it, of course, always please email me or get a hold of me on the group or message me directly from Facebook, and I'm happy to answer questions. Okay. All that. So this week, that's one of the meditations. So that's just sort of really one of the connections that can be explored in really the house that we're going to, right? And I do want to give you a grasp of sort of the idea and the color. The color itself is quite distinct. Magenta is magenta is magenta. Nothing else is magenta. And if you know and love the color like I do, then it's relatively easy. But and just like cyan, it's easy to get it some slippage. So please do avail yourself tonight during the meditation here. Remember, of course, as always, we're going to be starting one step behind that, and we're going to be approaching Yesod from Hod. Here we go. There was one other thing that I wanted to share before we kind of start leaving this plane, and that is I wanted, and I feel like I've done a disservice that I haven't done this before, but I think I do this in the first class, and I want to remind everyone, look for possibility of informing information from all possible sources in the world. So if the sigil that you cast last week is of 6 lines, watch for the number 6 in your line. How does it manifest? Where does it happen? And see if you can try and capture it in your diary entries. Even things like, oh, wow, this looks like a dolphin. Awesome. Look up dolphin and see what the dolphin is all about. I always say that the power of the thing is in the nature of the thing. So use the thing and its nature to reveal some new truth to you about your own experience or the magical work that you're doing. And the nature of the thing is dolphins are highly intelligent. They're mammals, meaning air breathers, and they live in the ocean. So they have these dichotomies, and different parts come together, and they're often used as symbols because of that, for paradox and synthesis and opposites meeting and marrying in a beautiful way. They also are mortal enemies with I think it's killer whales who eat sharks, and they will attack on sight. Mortal enemies built in at the factory, at the DNA level, to be enemy to the point of attacking to kill. They are so very quirky and beautiful. And there are some trainers now actually know that they can learn a human vocabulary up to a certain number of words, and they can communicate easily like this, and with touch boards. And oh my God. Wow. They are wow. They're pretty wow. And physically, when you look at them, they actually have a larger brain than humans, which makes a lot of humans what, oh, they're so psychic and powerful. They're actually advanced beings. No, they're not. They don't have as much gray matter. And that is actually deeply important. What they are is incredibly sensual beings who also have the power to approach things like independent reasoning, which is where we're starting. Yeah. So one of last time sigil, if I can get it to, if you, I don't know if you can see, but there's one section of it right there. Looks like a molecule that was fully, it's just channeled, just happened. It was a creative moment, right? So I looked it up, and it's catenamine, and it's in the highly studied right now because, and I wanted to share this with you. It can undergo many transformations, chemical transformations, and it enhances chemical transformations. So it's like in fractal geometry math, it's very similar to a strange attractor in that it will accelerate and make dynamic any change that you put it into. And it's an organic compound. This is part of what's in stem cells that makes stem cells so interesting for medical science, in that it's an accelerant and it stabilizes reactions at the same time. Wow. So apparently the Royal Society is having an awesome time with these. They occur in nature. You'll love this. In the late stages of a star consuming itself prior to supernova. An organic compound, which has been identified. You're going to love this. In one of the stars in the constellation Sagittarius. Mama, you can't make this shit up. Cannot. And it's in my sigil, which I found out with the third casting. I've been casting upside down before. Awesome. I turned it right side up for the last castings. It worked better. Shocker. Just unbelievable. So, and capturing all of these things in your diary will really help you later with unpacking some of the meaning and power behind the work that you're doing with sigilization and in magic in general. So just know that even for me, when I run across these situations, I now have something to watch and follow for the rest of my life. This possible chemical compound, its future, and humanity. It's obviously going to expand and explode. Yeah, and somehow I touched an essence of its spirit. is now wrapped into my magic and work. So I should be aware of it. The same is true here. Let's get ourselves deeply in our body. Let's remember the sand. Because from the sand, we can get to Raphael. And we can find ourselves floating in stratospheres and atmospheres, and studying thought and structures and connections, and the dynamic power of one truth leading to another and toppling untruth or unknotting problems or solving other issues. And let's feel their presence. And the acceleration, the speeding up of the information. And when you're under that blazing, golden, mercurial sun, swirling again, and equations, and time clock, and measurement. And again, you hear Raphael's voice singing in a very balls to bones, all the way down to your DNA. Say yes. And just know that today Raphael is guide. Guide along a path. And let's come down from the heights and stand on the sand. And hear the voice and the wings. Feel the breeze. Feel the grains move between your toes and around your heels as your weight displaces them with each step. Both making your foot strike hard and gentle at the same time, like the softest, powderiest beach or mud, but dry. And ahead of you is what appears to be sort of wine-colored, purplish, beautiful sky. Just a little bit on the horizon, and it gets more and more and more until It's a haze of light. And the sand becomes solid. And in front of you is the magenta door. And the door goes all the way from the ground to the sky. You can't see the top of the door. When you're standing in front of it, all you see are moving swirls that go all the way from black to pure magenta. And the swirls form in shapes, faces, smoke, noise, lines, drawings, pictures, stories. Images form and flash and fall away. Some images persist on the door. I want you to use this key to get through this door. So try and follow as closely as possible. If you can, put your finger on the surface of the door in your mind's eye. And where your finger touches the door, imagine, just imagine it's possible, that you have a little magnet on the tip of your finger. And just like those etch-a-sketchy things or other magnets that draw, you can draw the magenta to your finger. And we're going to do this just like in Beetlejuice, but a little bit different. We're going to draw a refrigerator door. Okay. We're going to draw a handle, and it's locked. We need a key, and this is the key. Draw one of your own childhood pictures on the refrigerator. When you're ready to start drawing, say yes. With intent and as much creativity as possible. Take your time. Use in your mind's eye your finger. If it helps to use your finger in real life, do it. And draw that refrigerator door. I'm going to try and make mine bigger. See if that works. No. and your own childhood drawing. When you're ready, open the door, step through. On the other side, Gabriel is waiting. Once you've gone through, Gabriel receives you in a form easiest for you to latch onto right now, the angel of human imagination. So, with that tiny bit of information, I want you to construct out of the color magenta an idea of the angel of human imagination, whatever that is to you. I'm choosing the object of my childhood picture back on that fridge, sitting on a magnet, with a magnet on the fridge. It's funny, it's cute, it's awesome. But it was easy to draw. I did it a lot. So, of course, Gabriel is easily a cute snail that talks in puffy clouds. For me. For you, whatever Gabriel can latch on to, help Gabriel out. And when you've gotten Gabriel solid, type the word yes. Okay. To answer your question, Medidi, no. You can if you choose to. That's easy. And I'll let you know that's only what happened with me. And I'm actually, for me, it makes my connection to Gabriel really easy to just use the key, my childhood drawing, as the manifestation. It is for you, the angel of human imagination. And it's not, I'll let you know, Gabriel is not going to stick around long. So if you can get any kind of, I want a solid connection here. And the solid connection has to happen through the color. So focus on drawing the color, just like you did draw the door, draw into the color your image of, and that can be anything, the angel of human imagination. Yeah, that's right. No, don't be sorry at all. Hopefully, the explanation helps you in the work, right? So allow yourself to let the actual color do the work for you, right? Just keep in mind what you are invoking in this sphere is the angel of human imagination. And what Gabriel chooses to form it as, the important part is you get a solid something. If that's the image that you drew, awesome, that's easy. If the angel appears as the most ornate Gothic extravaganza eleganza, if it forms as a drag queen, if it forms as a wisp, will o' the wisp, if it forms as a ball of lightning, if it forms as a hoof of a bird and a wing of a platypus, and that you'll know because it's a solid connection to your own imagination. And it's way bigger than you. It's not going to stick around. But can you imagine the lasagna? That's right. Yes, you can imagine lasagna, and Gabriel will happily be a giant lasagna, maybe even with a fork stuck in it. Yes. Okay, good. It didn't, but could you imagine lasagna? Yes, I can. So I know I'm not giving you a lot to work on, kiddos. I'm not. And I'm not trying to be harsh with this. This really is, this is Gabriel, is the spirit of human imagination. And if I tell you that he's 9'2" and has 3 pointy toes, awesome, great. If he is, if they are, if it is a giant lasagna with a fork stuck in it, great. The important part is the color. Focus on magenta. Focus on the angel of human imagination. And when you are certain that you are touching the source of all imaginings, just touch the source for a second. Just a second. Because Gabriel is not going to last any longer than that. Just touch it. Say that. The dogs, by the way, are going bonkers in here. They're just playing, the universe gives confirmation all the time. It's getting there. I'm sorry. Say this to what? My audio. Look, I'm really sorry, honey. Looks like audio issues tonight. That's really funny. So, what was the last thing you heard, honey song? Where are you in the meditation? Oh, yeah. Say yes to what? Okay. Yes. So the last time I said say yes is when you have formed your momentary feeling, however it is, connection with Gabriel, and you are able to touch the source of all human imagination. Touch it. About the lasagna. Yes, I love that. Yes, when you have touched the lasagna, say yeah. That's it. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I had a feeling you had. I know I had, and I know you had. If anyone else has yet to have made contact um, with Gabriel, then just keep working at it. Right. Use the color as your guide. If you have to seed thought or put a lens or worldview in front of your eyes to be able to make contact with and see Gabriel, right? Know that this entity that we are contacting is the source of all human imagination. I'm going to help draw the space for you by giving you a surround, though ultimately it's not going to be useful and it's no place you can go back to. The color is magenta. So your floor, your walls, your sky, it's an open landscape, not closed, but it may close in on you. It's every element of it changes as fast as it is created. It has persistent shape, but that shape will melt and mold with your intentions and thoughts. The space that is magenta, the space that is Yesod, the space that is the astral equivalent of the moon to Tiferet's sun in our solar system, the tree of life, is the power to bring forth out of sheer will something that never existed, something that maybe can't exist, something that maybe can exist. And more frequently, you can tune into a current of those things which can exist. And the more people that flow themselves into that creation, the more the trigger response of the universe manifests it. And then it changes with the very next, with the human imagination current, like schooling fish, flipping direction. This is the realm where the concept of space travel went from science fiction in 1890 to a physical reality in the 1950s. And the political shifts that happened because of groupthink. And groupthink itself has cycles. We're in a fin de siècle, post-fin de siècle cycle right now. And hence the conservative crunch around the globe. And that's part of the limit and limitation of, or the constricting of, this realm of the universe called Yesod, which is the absolute all of, not a remembrance of imagination, but the act of, the being of, the awareness of, the translation of thought through will into manifestation can't even happen until imagination awakens and opens up to the possibility that an angel is a giant lasagna with a fork stuck in it. I have been racking my brain trying to help you guys get to Yesod. And the easiest way to do it is for you to latch on to whatever it is before you, in front of you, beside you, behind you, the last thing that you said or drew, and translate that into the angel of all human imagination in the color magenta. And touch it. Just touch it. Imagination is how the pencil, this is how Freud described it. That imagination is how a pencil can become a witch's broom in a child's mind. And another child in the room can be told, this is a witch's broom. And suddenly a whole game has emerged of what are you going to do to get away from the witch in the room who's riding the broom. And in Freud's hypothetical story about the two children engaging in Yesod, talking with Gabriel in the realm of Magenta, that what they're engaging in is the act of imagination, which is not only an individual pursuit, but also has the potential for group synchronization. Everything that we have ever been or done, we have first imagined. And we had never imagined what possibly could even right now just simply be. And just by my act of saying that thing is indescribable, I have just described that thing. And imagination itself is a boiling soup of self-appropriation through the entire history of humanity, of Magenta. So your key through the fridge, the use of magnet are deliberate. This space is where both the atomic bomb was first imagined, which by the way, was in several of the novels of Rice. One of the most prolific authors of human history, who lived almost half a century before Oppenheimer got it to go bang. Imagination anticipates its own creations. So, once you've walked through the door and you're in the Magenta space, world, place, thing, call forth in some shape what you imagine the angel of all human imagination to be. And you will know at the moment that your own imaginings go a little bit bonkers. You have succeeded. And once you succeed, type the word yeah. If you're stuck, vocalize that. Let's talk about it. Let's get you there. So, Honey Sons and we're good. Danny, if I can help, Jackie, Medidi. Okay, so Jackie's there. Danny's there. If you need help getting there, Medidi, please help. Good. All right. Missed you. Awesome. We all made the connection. That's it. That's so to get back here, use the trick. Refrigerator door, magnet finger, walk in, invoke, right? Just call for it. Try and perceive the possibility, right? And Gabriel will answer, but he won't last. And that's just how it goes. It doesn't stick around for long. So just know that you can hang out in the realm and just know that all aspects of it will transform at all times. There is no locking it down, and no magician ever can and ever would. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work like other nodes that we've been in, where it's these, even its location changes. It's like on the astral. It doesn't stay in one place. So please know that. So if you are if part of your practice with sigilization is that you go back and do this visualization work again prior to your invocation, or if you do the invocation, if you want to do this work again, please know that's just the way it goes. And it might be different next time. So next time you call the angel of human imagination, next time you call Gabriel, right? And what you experience tonight, the connection you made tonight is Gabriel. Awesome. Next time you do it, it might not be a giant lasagna with a fork. It might be anything at all. So it's normal to feel and see the world moving around you yes, I think it is. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I don't want to distract you because we have to get back to the actual work of doing our sigil. And tonight's sigil is of 9 lines. So we're doing 9 lines to the page. And I don't want to distract from everything you learned and everything you experienced from having touched Gabriel. So let's go back to and I have a story for you when we're done. So, but go back to that line with the contact. Just remember it, bring it back, draw your 9 lines. Sorry about that. And when you have your 9 lines on page, please don't the word yes. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Awesome. Good, good. Oh, mine isn't done. Oh my God, I can't even count. Here I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. Oh my God. Thank God. Because this didn't feel right. Okay. If you have completed yours, oh my God, wow. Then please feel free to share in the chat.
Hey, Shen Tat, I'm gonna have to show you mine. Hopefully my camera will work.
Hope
Let's see.
so.
So the reason I asked you about if the images were going to be like moving and stuff is because as soon as I walked in, I could see Gabriel's form and he was moving and it was all magenta. And I have the image of the magnet on my finger and it's going right to his chest. But it's almost like a Picasso, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
kind of. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I see the general shape. Yeah, and you can see that there are like things going on above the head. You can see the wingy army portions and at least one leg sort of portion, kind of robed looking, maybe.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
really weird because it was just like everything in the whole entire room is like almost psychedelic.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yep.
it was a burning like magenta. It wasn't like a soft magenta. It was like a
Yeah,
burning
very
one.
vibrant.
Yeah. And the weird part about it is, do you remember when we had the sword a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Whenever I do certain things now, or whenever I feel like certain ways, that sword flares up in my spine. And
again, and or still.
It still flares up still.
Yeah.
And
Again,
so
yeah.
when I went into see Gabriel, it flared up instantly. And that's when everything just became psychedelic in there for me. So is that normal?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right there. You're right.
Okay.
Picking it up, putting it down. No, absolutely. And just know that that's kind of that's sort of how it pours through you. And just know that there may or may not be consistency with the experience.
Right. No, I completely get that.
Yeah. The color and the key are the important aspects. And as long as you stick with those, then you can keep this experience integral, that you're always going to be tapping. And I think it's important to keep that the frame of the angel of all human imagination. Gabriel.
Yeah, he was easy for me to see. It was like there was no problem with me to see him at all.
Yeah, that's right. There is power, almost like a magic spell, in simply repeating the name and defining the name, the angel of all human imagination, Gabriel. And this is important. I've talked about this before when I talked about like the invocation of Set. And I think I talked about it at one of these classes with Dalmiel, maybe, where if you define the name itself is the spell. And this is part of what ancient Egyptians did in their own ceremonial magic, is they would say, let's say we're talking to Taweret, right? Who is the goddess of the Nile and appears to us as a hippopotamus and is the color blue with these lines, right? So that even getting that literal and silly with creating a spell of intent. I'm communicating with Gabriel, this Gabriel, right? It's like tuning a radio to a station. Okay. But just know that the station moves all the time. And that's for all of us. Maintaining presence or deep awareness in Yesod is really, I've only ever met a very few of these human beings. They are rare creatives who legitimately just it's like their creativity. They are creativity. And I would think of them in the same way that many magicians think of elementals. I've known one visual artist and one performing artist deeply in my life. And both of them were so close to this source that Gabriel is, that they astound you with what comes out of them, because it's nowhere here. And it is nowhere here. So I'm going to change what I'm sharing. And I see Medidi has this amazing, beautiful sigil to cast this week. Oh, gorgeous. Absolutely. And how dynamite, right? What a beautiful.
It's so weird because like once you told, like I got mixed up after I didn't because when we can't hear you and you go out, we try and put together what you were saying, which is why I had to ask you, because like I was forming Gabriel in an old drawing I used to do when I was little, which is not the stick figure Pegasus we got going on. It was actually like a detailed horse I would draw. But when you started walking me through the meditation personally, it was like everything shifted and all of a sudden these magenta wings popped out of nowhere and it was a fucking magenta Pegasus. So I was like, all right, that's where we're going.
That's where we're going. Nope, that's right. And the best thing you could do is just kind of listen to the current.
Yeah, it
So
was
glad.
very fast streaming and hard to like focus on things because it felt like ever changing. It's like as
Yeah.
soon as I thought it was gone.
Yep. That's right. And not only is it that, but it also like leaves trails and images and post images and pre-images, and sometimes you can kind of anticipate it, and uh, just know that that's the nature of the thing.
Okay, that makes me
When you
feel
go
better.
back to it. Yeah, totally. No. And what a beautiful sigil you've got to work with this
Thank
week.
you, my little stick figure Pegasus.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, all right. Let's oh, holy cow. What is this? This is Honey Songs. I am madly in love. This is just going to be easy, beautiful, fun, awesome to cast.
I love this node. Gabriel came to me as one of my original characters that I used to write about,
Yeah.
and she took me to like the old settings and that of the stories that I had not necessarily forgotten about, but hadn't thought about since forever. So it was really nice getting to kind of reconnect with those old characters. And that tree is like a tree house that harpies and winged folk used to fly around in. It was like a shopping center type thing. So it was awesome.
And it happens to be a shopping center. And that is fantastic. No, that's great. That's great. And the very fact that some of these and the more contact that you have with Yesod, the more a lot of these types of things kind of happen, where you may find that aspects of self reawaken that may or may not have been either lying dormant or passionately suppressed, or sort of gently laid aside, or, and the output in ideation, or these creative imaginings, these self-expressions, these mythic worlds, these whatever it is, right, will pop up, or an aspect may pop up. Awesome. Put that in your journal. And if you could, the real important part is not just putting that in your journal. So try to remember exactly the stories that Gabriel went back to and reminded you of. Oh, by the way, did you remember? Right. And it is also, these are also like the strength and power of the emotional connectivity to, and the lens of, an atavism in your own life. So atavism, a thing that has died, but it's an after image or glow, right? So they themselves are merely purveyors of meaning to your experience. So any recurrent theme, symbol, idea, anything with powerful agonism or emotional attachment to, is the bodying forth of something you've already processed, right? You remember, like in the Matrix trilogy, when in the second movie, when Neo has this interview again with the Oracle, right? She says, it's not you're beginning to see the world without limits, and you're seeing the future, and it's not really the future you're seeing. It's you can't see past any decision you haven't made yet. And then later she says, but you've already made your decision. You just don't know why. So there's these awesome sort of tumbling before itself, and remembering of self, that all go on in imagination. And if any of those particular this is what I call unpacking your entry, right? So let's say you say, oh, Gabriel reminded me of, and I'm going to share with you, Gabriel reminded me of this gal I had a crush on 1,000 billion years ago, and I bought her a ring, and she was like running, screaming the other direction. She had a boyfriend. She was a popular girl. No, not going to happen. And anyway, that's the unpacking. Oh yeah, social situations where I'm the only one with a drive. Everyone else is like, pump the brakes. Got it. That situation is part of what Gabriel brought up for me. Awesome. Yay. That's part of what I put in my journal, and I'm going to watch and be aware of in whatever my castings are for the week. So if I hit a resistance, that probably is best that I hit, which is really my intuition, right? I'm also going to unpack that in my diary entry, and I'm going to write it out. You know, if you don't write it out, you are going to forget it. Going to say this again. If you don't write it out, you are going to forget it. We don't want to forget our work. I talked earlier in the class about exercising skepticism about magical results. And I can't preach that enough. And even Crowley was like, no, you have to get like independent corroboration for every bit of what you do magically. And that's why we do it that's why they did it in groups, and that's why they recorded everything. And then people went away and tried it themselves and found that they had a mutually shared experience with limits to it, and it looked like this and shaped like that, and bingo, which becomes observational truth at a certain point. And that's what we're seeking, to tune ourselves to by kind of adjusting. But the only way to adjust is to write it down and then review it periodically. Okay. I'll get off my high horse, and we will look at Danny's sigil. I want to get this bigger. I know. Do they go backwards? Do the two hooks? The two hooks do go backwards. Wow. Who is this? Is Danny? Danny, this is a remarkable sigil. And what I mean by remarkable is the ease of casting for this. Again, everyone has made a sigil that is like, bam, easy to fucking cast. Here again, there's references to three-dimensionality that also is flattened. There's the moon, there's the sun, there's this awesome idea of null or nothingness or zero. There's also there's like the hooks reversing, almost make it like a spindle or spinning thing. It's there's implications of a road or pathway with the two intersecting lines here that cross into and out of the crescent spaces. And yet it's something you can hold in your imagination and mind, emblazon it easily. It's absolutely beautiful. There's the symmetry and rhythm, and this is cool. Awesome. Awesome. Did we miss anyone? Conglomeration of everything that was swirling around him, celestial bodies. Oh, I just got chills thinking about that. And yes, You know, I had a really hard time figuring out how the fuck I was going to get this across. Hey, all the God, you guys are with it. Good, solid contact, everyone. This is really super awesome. And beautiful work. I love that that Gabriel, like, you lit up with your former creation and new ideas. Awesome. I love this. This is fabulous. Yeah, it's funny, you know, to give you a little bit of story and provenance behind my own, the second Gabriel showed up, all I saw was cuneiform. And I got so dizzy that I kind of had to, I had to kind of sort of grip my chair. And it's funny because that dizziness, when I was drawing it, came back. And that's what I tried to, like, it was the part I tried to hook to kind of ride it like a wave, to move forward through drawing it. And I knew that I had to get the one is really small, one's really big thing, like they did in like sort of later Sumerian cuneiform. You may see juxtaposed really small, the small hammer strike size cuneiform, which is really, it's super tiny. It's about that big. And right next to it is a larger engraved word in cuneiform of an important individual. And I knew that I had to capture that, and I knew I had to capture the star feel for all of it, but it wasn't like all connecting. And it took posting the first one to realize, oh my God, you're missing all these lines. So that was the provenance there. Just wanted to share a little bit. Awesome. Okay. I wanted to default multiple descriptions of angels, Greek depiction. Yeah, same. Multi-aid angel. I was like, "Ooh, buddy." Now, yes. So getting back here, thank God this is all recorded to the cloud. Really, the biggest trick is keep in mind the if you want to, you can start from Hod, because I think everyone had an easier time getting to Hod. So just have really ask for the handoff. You know, just go back to Raphael and say, Raphael, can you please do the handoff again? That was awesome. Please do it again. And get you to the door, right? Once you're at the door, just because it changes, it moves in the astral, right? They all know where it is. So ask them, right? They're bigger entities than we are. They have access to more info. So ask for the handoff, get handed off to the door, and then use the same trick of draw the door in a recognizable format and use something, anything from your own childhood as the crayon drawing on the door to unlock it. And once you're inside, just call Gabriel. Gabriel, it'll happen. You'll make the connection. Does that make sense? Awesome. Yay. So use the trick. Awesome. Yep. Yeah. And, this is something that Victor Anderson talked about. He was like, I think he was actually at a conference. And because I remember hearing his voice as well as getting the anecdote about his life. He did one recorded, and I think it's on YouTube if you can find it. He did one YouTube thing at like a conference, and he did other several other conferences, many of which the manuscript exists. And anyways, at one of them, and they were talking about this, and this is recorded, so I don't know if it was, I don't think it was in the publicly accessible YouTube, but I don't know. If you can find it, awesome. And where someone asked him about, and this is kind of the difference between, like, I think fairy and Gardnerian tech, and how we kind of get to the same, so different roads, same destination, right? And they were asking him about energy and about grounding and raising energy and all of that. And he was like, and he, not in these words, said, we go to them because they are a greater source than we are. Ask for it. That's it. And of course, all the Gardnerians in the room are like, because of course it takes 13 male female couples dancing around going Zamalek, Amalek, Gamalek, Blabalek for 2.5 hours to raise the kind of energy that it would take in like 2 seconds if they just would ask these higher entities, period. Yeah. And it was awesome. Anyways, so to that end, with any of these nodes and entities, they all know each other. So if you get stuck, you can always retrace your steps. Part of the reason why I'm doing work like this, because the next series would be, or the next sort of layer to this series would be dealing with the individual planets. So not just these larger angelic, sure, upper astral entities, not just them, but also the sort of the sub, so, who is the actual entity that is the here to the sand. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So each of those paths and that interconnect all of the Sephiro. And there is a genius, what I would call a genius, of each one. And I'm using genius in the Greek sense of the term, and in-breathing or indwelling spirit. So there is an indwelling spirit that is permanent to the connectivities between each of these nodes or mansions. And so part of what the next level will be is the spirit of the 25th path. And the 25th path has a huge amount of magical provenance behind it. Any number of books talk about path working and approach it almost exclusively from the lens of talking about the 25th or the 28th or the 30th or the first or the this or the that, right? The 11th, actually, which is the first, down to the 32nd path. Some, and many of them argue even about two of the other unknown broken paths, which I personally believe in, and I actually taught you to use one of them. You're welcome. Already the missing road, the sky bridge, right? And so I'll have a lot of book references if you want them. For that kind of stuff. There are also online references that we can talk about, many of which are Ron, I think is his last name, is like the best. And he's still web published, so you can still pull up the reference materials. But anyway, yeah. You talk to them, you go to them and say, hey, can you connect me with whomever? And sure enough, once you start talking to one, the whole gang show up, like all of these systems. Each system has its own kind of unique set of entities, which are like diamond facets of the same source of power, right? But a diamond facet is a unique facet. It's real deal. They're real entities. They have real personality. Some of them are really nice and some are really grouchy. Depends on the system. And they have lots of human provenance behind them. They have lots of, they've been integrated by any number of magical workers. That's part of what chaos magicians do, is they to look at the sort of the intersectionality between the different magical systems of the entire human history that are recorded. And you can begin getting a grasp of that in the series by Oncarlu and Clark, Witchcraft and Magic. And so far, I think there are 7 books. There are 13 total planned. I have like 5 of them. They're unbelievable. I need to get back in. But we've bought other books in between. Need to get back in and see if they put together the next compilation. But anyways, I think I digress. Is there anything else? No, I don't think so. Yeah, and so if you get lost, use breadcrumbs, retrace your steps, talk to the entities you've already met. They will help you. Some are more helpful than others. Yep, like that. Hope that helps. You've got your sigils. Awesome. And next week will be class on Tuesday, same bat time, same bat station. Our new password is going to be Gabriel. And do we have any questions? Oh, yay, I'm glad I'm useful. Yay. Oh, yay. Awesome. Great class. That's good. I'm glad you're. Oh, XOXOXO. More. And more from around the world. All the Greek gods say moi to you. Good. Awesome. All right. I look forward to seeing you all next week. And yeah. So, night, guys. Yep, that's right.